What's up? Oh, there we go. Hello, hello, everyone. I feel weird for like A, being on time, and B, not having the loading screen anymore. If you guys recall the last like 3 or 4 live streams, I've had to start late because my computer freezes. And I think what was doing it was the loading screen that I did. Because every time I would like select it, then my whole computer would just freeze, or the mouse would freeze, and I wouldn't be able to do anything. So now I'm just starting on time, y'all. No more loading screen. No more nothing. It's 8:30 and go. And it might lead to me, sitting here awkwardly for a bit until everyone kind of rolls on in because they're used to me being late. But I'm here on time. And expect it, okay? Expect it, y'all. It's part of my do better sort of mentality. Start earlier, be on time, go to bed earlier, wake up earlier. And I'm going to do my best to stick to it. But yeah, we'll wait here and chill. Hey, Dawn. Good to see you. Hey, Sandy. Hello, hello. But yeah, I am live streaming and 1 hour early from here on out. So, in case you missed it, now you know. Still Sundays and Wednesdays. Sundays, there might be a few where I'm not going to be able to live stream on Sundays, because if you guys didn't hear, hi Dawn's mom. Good to see and hear from you both. But yeah, if you guys didn't know, I am preparing to have my first show, and I have a band, and we're going to be practicing soon. The only reason why we didn't start this Sunday is because we're actually in a deep freeze here in Alberta. It got up to -40, -50 with the wind chill last night, which is crazy even for Alberta standards. So that wasn't too fun. I've not gone out even once for anything. Nothing. Even the poor dog, we're just kind of putting her out in the backyard, and she'll have her like Zoomy session. And then we bring her back in because she doesn't want to stay out there for too long either herself. And we haven't seen a single dog walking in the neighborhood, which is probably a good thing, because 5 minutes out there and you'll get frostbite if you're not dressed properly. I think as it stands right now, it is -33, but probably around -37 with the wind chill. Canada is in January, y'all. But I hope you all are doing well. Hey, Mikab. Hey, Kawan. Oh, where do I contact you if you're not going to do that show? On my YouTube channel, there's a tab that says community, and I always kind of keep updates on there. So every time I'm about an hour away from the live stream, I post that we're an hour away from the live stream, or sometimes I'll post earlier in the day. Just depends. But every day that there is a live stream, there is a message in the community tab that lets you know what's up. Sometimes I give my thoughts on GH like throughout the week as well on the community tab. And But like realistically, I'll know, like if you're tuning in Wednesday, you're gonna know if I'm not live streaming Sunday. So just so you know, because we do have to pre-plan like having those rehearsals. You're in LA and it's freezing here. Define freezing, because I just said it's minus 35 here, okay? If it's like plus 6 over there, Celsius, then you're not freezing. You're just kind of mildly cold. Oh, man. But in all fairness, I know, because I've been to California myself in like early spring, that it gets cold at night for sure. But it's fine in the day. But yeah, so I don't know. But yeah, I'm practicing, getting ready for my first show that's happening in the spring. The official announcement happens this Friday, where like everyone else is gonna be on like where I'm performing and stuff. So that's like exciting and nerve-wracking. I'm trying to do more content on like my music Instagram, like Dion Gabriel Music. And I put up the reel that I had just uploaded on Instagram to the YouTube Shorts as well, if you didn't see it. I had this hat on, which is why I'm rocking it. I gotta get back into like artsy fartsy mode myself. $34 degrees. Hey, all temps higher than 32 degrees. Just pointing out, it's negative. Oh, so minus 20. Oh, okay, minus 6. The wind chill of minus 26. Wild. But yeah, what's up, everybody? Welcome to General Hospital Envy, my GH after show. Damn, what an emotional week this was. Courtesy of the two-parter tribute to Jackie Zeman and Bobbie, of course. We already talked about the first episode that showcased Bobbie's funeral on Wednesday's stream, as well as the reveal that Bobbie was working with a foundation dedicated to getting victims of sex trafficking to safe places. That happened at the episode. The funeral was the first part of the episode. The funeral was short but sweet, and I love the twist that Bobbie had this whole other life in Amsterdam that was there, which segued into the second part of her tribute, which was Thursday's episode. So I think we'll start with that first before we get into like the other stories of this week, since we kind of already started with Bobbie's funeral on Wednesday. I figure we might as well get the rest of Bobbie's stuff out of the way first, and then we'll talk about the rest of the show, because even though a lot of it had to do with Bobbie, there's some other interesting things that happened this week that I can't wait to talk about as well. 38 Fahrenheit in North Carolina, pretty chilly. In the -2 in Kansas, your whole house is cold. Yeah, they were talking about doing rolling blackouts in Alberta. Like, they declared a state of emergency because of the cold weather here. Thankfully, I don't know if anyone else in Edmonton got a blackout. We didn't, so I'm grateful for that. My thing was just, can't they just black out the late opened establishments like malls and like arenas and things like that? Shut the power there. Like, let us be in our houses and stay warm and like with power. I'm just gonna turn my lamp off so that people can still go to the casino. Are you kidding me? Oh, Lord. Meet Cobb, Carly and Felicia are developing a friendship now. Never realized that they were never in scenes together. That's one thing I'm actually really excited to talk about. So let's get into the Carly and Felicia stuff. So Carly and Felicia had learned what Bobbie was up to in Amsterdam, as you guys know, and that there was some girl out there waiting for Bobbie to take her to her final destination. They both agreed that they needed to track her down and finish what Bobbie started. So they made their way to Amsterdam to this cafe that, according to Tracy, Bobbie had frequented while over there and tried to track down her contact. They waited a while, but they eventually managed to find her. and convinced her to open up, and eventually they learned that this organization managed to bring this girl, Cornelia, to a cabin Bobbie had told the Foundation about in Ontario, where Bobbie would eventually meet her to bring her into America. Unfortunately, as you guys know, Bobbie passed away before she could. And then thankfully, Carly knew the cabin Bobbie would have brought her to, so in record time, Felicia and Carly made their way to Ontario, Canada, and nearly hit a moose while on the road. A moose that Carly mistook for a deer. If you know what a moose looks like and what a deer looks like, you would know how ridiculous her thinking it's a deer is, okay? A moose is a gigantic freaking animal. Like, you can't miss it. Deers, they're like, you know, they're an okay size, but they are not like as gigantic as a moose. All right? Do y'all know? Oh, what are y'all saying? It was a great tribute to Bobbie all week. Oh, yeah, I think they did a really good job with it. Kawan said it's your first time being outside since you got your teeth pulled out. Oof. Is it cold over there too? Angel said the breaker box had a shortage. Ooh, that sucks. That's brutal. Marcia, you said you're in Oklahoma and it is 2 degrees here and snow on the ground and very cold. We have a lot of snow now too. It's not like crazy amounts of snow. But if you guys have been tuning into the live streams, you know that it was a very weird November, December for Alberta, where we had no snow until after Christmas. Marsha, you said nice tribute for Bobbie. Yeah, it really was. They didn't show her first scenes back in 1977. We'll talk about the flashbacks they did show, because I think that they did show some good ones, though. But yeah, where was I? Okay, so Carly and Felicia. So after they had almost hit the moose, Carly and Felicia were fixing their rental car tire. They actually had quite the heart-to-heart with each other about why they've never hung out, despite her being her mother's best friend. Felicia, she opened up and said that even though Bobbie forgave Carly for what she did to Tony and Bobbie, she never really forgave her for destroying Bobbie's marriage to Tony and blowing both their lives apart, because to Felicia, Bobbie and Tony were her home base. And Carly said that she gets it and stated that because she's so close to Maxie and saw how much Felicia's absence when she was younger really affected her, she took no interest in getting to know her either. I personally found that really weird because I feel like Carly and Maxie barely interacted at all. When Maxie was younger, like she worked for the Metro Court for a bit before like Crimson Magazine and stuff. But Carly was close to Lulu at the time, you guys know that, and Lulu hated Maxie. So Maxie wasn't really a blip in Carly's radar, I think, and, you know, as far as I remember it, nor did she get close to her even after Felicia moved back into town, so I don't know, I don't get that part. At most, Carly and Maxie had like a mutual respect for each other, and that's about it, I think, but I digress. The malls are like warming areas, that would be a bad place for power to shut off. But at least, like, turn the lights off, you know? Thank you, Marcia. I haven't been wearing these hats for a while. I used to wear them for kind of going out and promoting music. But I had retired it for the year. But I think I'm going to make it my thing as a musician. So now I'm going to put these back on for, like, some of the things. I think they changed that bit of history because Lulu. Yeah, exactly. Like Lulu and Felicia, or no, Lulu and Carly, sorry, were besties. Lulu was always going to like Carly for advice. You know what I mean? Miki said the strange thing to me is the interactions Lucas did not have with certain people. The actor to me almost felt like he was not that comfortable being back. I got that feeling too, honestly. Like he clearly, I feel like he knows he got neglected on the show, and that, you know, he was really just back there to honor Jackie. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think he has a good relationship with the show, but like it was kind of like necessary for them to bring him back. Anyway, though, back to Carly and Felicia. I did appreciate that Carly and Felicia decided to forgive and let go of the past for Bobbie's sake, and even alluded to the possibility that Bobbie had a role in bringing them together for this. It would be on brand for Bobbie to meddle even in the afterlife, I feel. I also appreciated Christina Wagner and Laura Wright's performance in the scene too. It seemed so authentic, like it seemed like such a real conversation, and you could tell that these two were really enjoying shooting these scenes. As two people who have like long adored Jackie. Like even when Laura Wright started on the show, she'd always say that she really wants to work with Jackie, and of course during the Guza era, Jackie was really pushed off the show, so they barely shared scenes back then. Eventually, anyway, Carly and Felicia, they track down the cabin and they find the very terrified, I should say, girl Cornelia, who had been there for weeks, not knowing what was going to happen. So naturally, she was a little bit wary of them, but they did prove that they were allies and called Robert Scorpio to use his connections to get her into America safely. What did you guys think of this part of the tribute? Do you want to see more of Felicia and Carly interacting? What do you guys think? I actually really liked this adventure, and I felt it was pretty cool to see Christina and Laura work together, because it is wild that they've never really shared scenes for as long as they've both been on the show. It's just wild to me. Like, I know Christina only really came back fully in 2012, I think, 2012 or 2013, but, you know, that's still like over 10 years ago, and you know, the fact that she is Bobbie's friend, I'm glad that they kind of came up with an explanation for that. I think Carly's explanation to not reciprocating that was a bit weak, but for sure, like, it made perfect sense to me that Felicia just never forgave Carly for what she did to Bobbie, and I'm glad that they kind of had that conversation with each other. You're new to my channel. I'm glad you're here, Marcia. Thanks for joining. Nathan, you said Lucas should have had more of a role in the second part. I get why Carly had a focus, but Lucas should also get to shine too. Yeah, he was a bit more involved. Thankfully, I thought that he was just going to leave after the funeral. I'm glad he was around for part 2. And I think that's what we're going to get into next in terms of the tribute. DG said, I think he phoned in some of his scenes, but it was his decision to return. They couldn't force him. Yeah, I mean, I think he did a good job, though, because to me, like, in the first episode, like, the Wednesday tribute during the funeral, he actually got me the most in terms of his emotions. He actually seemed pretty broken about it. You like Carly and Felicia's chemistry, Marcia? Yeah, I like, they seem to act well off of each other. And I think that's largely to do with Jackie, honestly, and just their equal admiration. So, you know, this had to be like a very cathartic experience for all the people that adored her, you know what I mean? Yeah, you're right, Kaiwan. I think, like, realistically, like, on a behind-the-scenes sort of explanation for it, it really was because Carly was with the bad guys and Felicia was a good guy. It makes sense on that front. But you know, for the characters as well, like, that is still Bobbie's daughter, you know what I mean? And Bobbie and Carly have been close the last few years. Lucas looks very handsome to me. Lucas is gorgeous. Ryan Carnes is gorgeous. I think it was a good historical perspective to see Carly and Felicia together. I wish they could expand on the history more with Christina Wagner. She's usually marginalized. That's true. Although I do appreciate, like, especially when she got back after COVID, like, they've definitely utilized her far more than they did the previous years of, like, 2012 to whenever she came back, like 2022. And then unfortunately her son passed away in real life, so she had to go again, and then they kind of picked up again when she got back. I'm grateful for that. Like, she could be utilized more, but I'm glad that they are using her as much as they are. All right, now let's talk about the rest of the tribute. So now, while Felicia was traveling across the globe to finish, Bobbie's final mission, Maxie was on a mission of her own, gathering people that Bobbie has affected for the reporter that was there from Amsterdam to share their stories about Bobbie. Laura, Scott, Lucy, Elizabeth, and Lucas, they all chimed in with stories about Bobbie, and we got treated to several flashbacks in this sort of segment. My personal favorite flashbacks were of a very young Laura and a very young Bobbie, finding Bobbie at Laura's apartment, Laura's apartment with Scott that she had at the time, because they were together, and Bobbie essentially laughing in her face and closing the door on her. I think insinuating that Scott and Bobbie were going to sleep together. I don't know if they did. It's been so long since I've watched that storyline, because it was on YouTube. Because this was like, I think, after Luke had raped Laura. I think it was after that, if I remember correctly. And they were distant because of what happened. What are y'all saying? Carly doesn't hang out with any of Bobbie's friends. Carly didn't even spend time with Luke. She was friends with Lulu until Dante told Michael unalived Claudia. I think Carly and Lulu's relationship prepared from that. That it did. I never saw Carly and Maxie spend time together. That is true. DG said, I think they're using Christina more now, but they need to expound more on her history. Yeah, I agree. This patient advocate thing doesn't really work for me. That's fair. It's like she's in the shadow of Renee Watson. Well, I think the point of putting her there is so that I think they're not going to keep Stella around. You know what I mean? In my opinion, and maybe that's why they're putting Felicia there. So I think Felicia's just going to take over that part. But yeah, you're right. I think that they could always utilize her more. Why didn't they talk about how Bobbie came to the story? I'm not sure. DG said, I was so glad they showed Scott's seduction scene. Scott and Bobbie did not sleep together. She drugged him. Oh! Bobbie then faked a pregnancy. Dang. And didn't she also fake blindness at one point? That was her, right? Leslie Weber ultimately proved she was faking it. Dang. Stella does other gigs. Exactly. Alright. Back to it, though. So, another flashback that I liked was Bobbie sticking up for Lucas with Tracy. If you guys had no context and you haven't seen that scene yourself, maybe I feel like we reacted to it when Jackie passed. But Tracy said something that was kind of homophobic towards Lucas, and Bobbie took a stand and just like trashed her, and then like told her to go away, and that she beat up, she ate girls like her for lunch back in Florida, like back in the day, whatever she said. It was funny. Bobbie's blindness was real. Oh, okay. Maybe I'm mixing them up, DG. That's why you're here. You can be like our history, our buff. Oh, thanks, Marsha, for subscribing. I appreciate it. All right. And then my other favorite flashback that they used was Bobbie taking care of Elizabeth after Elizabeth was raped. I actually mentioned I was hoping that they would show this flashback when we were talking on Wednesday's stream, because Elizabeth kind of, she had that conversation with Carly before the day of the funeral, about how Bobbie really, came to her at a dark time. And I was hoping they were using it then. So I had hoped that they were going to use it in Thursday's episode, which they did, which I really appreciated. Plus, I appreciated that Elizabeth asked for discretion because her kids didn't know about her past. So that's one thing that I've never really thought about, that maybe her kids do not know. Although I do wonder, because her rapist got out not that long ago, in the last 6 or 7 years. So, Franco was around for that stuff, and we all know what Franco did and how Elizabeth really became secondary in the storyline, which pissed me off. But you would think that something came out back then, but maybe it didn't. Who knows? I don't think it's strange that they don't know. Like, she wouldn't want that to come out. And, like, when you think about it, Lulu didn't know about Luke raping Laura until it came out in court, because I think Scott made Nicholas answer a question that had to do with it, and Lulu walked into the courtroom, and that was her sort of traumatic way of finding out. And we know how Lucky found out, obviously, as well. But Lulu was much older than Lucky was when he found out. You know, Lulu was already an adult at this point, I believe. She was, or at least she was like 17, 18 years old. That was a great flashback of Elizabeth. Yeah, I agree. Anyway, so once the day was over, Maxie thanks the reporter who mysteriously vanished after Felicia called. And the day Felicia got back, Maxie couldn't even find her business card that she had put in her wallet. Nor could she find her name on the internet, so Felicia said that she'd try to make some calls and look for it on her own. While that was happening, the reporter was actually outside of Kelly's, and Lucas had run into her before he was heading back to town, I should say. Or out of town, back to wherever he's living these days. They didn't establish where Lucas is now. Maybe he's back in Seattle. But yeah. He tells this reporter that everyone's been looking for her, but she insists that she has to go back home. When he starts to walk away, she calls him Champ, which is what Lucas had stated what BJ used to call him when he was little, because it drove Bobbie crazy. And when he turned around, she vanished. And let me tell y'all, in that moment, when I realized that the woman was actually the ghost of BJ, I literally burst into tears. I'm talking like hand over my mouth, like tears rolling down my face. Oh my god, it's really BJ. Like, ugly cried, you guys. I seriously ugly cried right there on that couch watching my TV crying, like sulking. I mean, you guys know that I didn't realize Wednesday when we first saw her that it was actually the actress that played BJ when she was younger, playing this reporter. And I'm really grateful you guys told me that, because you know, I don't think I would have been as affected if I didn't know. But at the time, I still didn't know that she was going to play BJ regardless, right? So, you know, I just thought that it was a cool little Easter egg that the GH producers threw in there to have the actress be involved in some way, even though she was playing another character. I did not know she was going to be BJ's ghost. Like, you guys, like, I bawled my eyes out. I couldn't even talk. My lips were quivering. I was so it's embarrassing now, but I was so wrecked. But I was so moved as well. Like, what a beautiful moment. And, you know, it just, that moment with Lucas and BJ hit me with every single emotion. And at the same time, Felicia was realizing that the reporter was BJ, because she called the Associated Press in Amsterdam, where she supposedly worked, and the worker said, "There is no one here with that name. I know. I've worked here for a long time." And so the wheel started spinning in Felicia's head, and she remembered BJ and what she looked like, and that's when she realized that it was BJ. And Maxie was inside the house. Felicia was just outside of it. Maxie was inside the house, and her heart started beating really fast. And that's when she realized, oh my god, the reporter was BJ. And they just, like, Felicia storms in the house, and they both just look at each other like, BJ. And they both just, like, held on to each other and cried. And I lost it even more. I was like, you guys, I was wrecked. I was crying my eyes out. I've never cried that hard for a GH since Edward and Lila went up to heaven together after John Ingle died. Was probably the last time I cried really hard. I've cried, like, since then, but not as hard as that moment up until now. Because there has been good emotional scenes over the years since then, but none as, like, heavy hitting as this. You know what I mean? Because, like, on top of, like, yes, Edward and Lila, they're beloved characters. It was great to see them again when we thought we never would. But this, like, arguably, the BJ Hart storyline is one of the most cherished, beloved stories on GH of all time, right? So it's like, I'm getting choked just talking about it, but that's to bring it back like that in such a way. What a good way to honor that storyline, and to honor Jackie Zeman, and to honor the character of BJ that, really changed Bobbie's life. And losing her really changed Bobbie's life. Okay, let me see what you guys are saying. Kelly's has a new sign. Yeah, that's what we're gonna kind of circle back to in a second here, because that's kind of like the last part of the tribute. DG, you're saying BJ was obviously a ghost or angel. Chris and Dan sort of stole my fan fiction idea. In my GH story, BJ is now an angel who rights wrongs in Port Charles and resurrects beloved characters. Nice. Sandy, you ugly cried too. Did you said I didn't cry, but I did think it was very well written and somewhat touching. It's sad Dan and Chris don't write stories like moving regularly. I agree. BJ was an angel, and I cried also. She did a great job. Wizards are real in the general universe. Angel, you said that was so sweet that she was the ghost of BJ. She was BJ through and through, the actress and BJ on the show. Yeah, because she said it's been 40 years since he worked there. 40 years in the world of Port Charles. Angel said he got recommended the scene of Lucas talking to Tony's ghost. Yeah, that was really nice to see Ryan work with Brad. I like those scenes too. It didn't make me emotional though. It did make me emotional. I kind of wish that we saw Brad Mull, to be honest, though. Marsha, you said, I think Maxie realized something about BJ at the funeral. Yeah, Maxie was the first to notice this mysterious woman walking around before anyone else did. And that, yeah, and you're right. It does, it makes sense because they are connected with her heart. I don't know. But to me, in my head, obviously it had to be in hindsight for me because I didn't realize that that particular actress was the same actress that played BJ when I first watched Wednesday's episode, the funeral episode itself. But in hindsight, it makes sense that she's looking back and my thought process before watching Thursday's episode was, it's just a little nod, Maxie must think she looks familiar because that's the actress that played BJ. That was my whole thought after you guys had told me. But yeah, that whole ending was really extra special. Now let's talk about the final sort of segment of this tribute to Bobbie. The final part of this tribute involves Kelly's Diner. Now, at the beginning of part 1 of Bobbie's tribute, the Wednesday episode, the Kelly sign had fallen off of the front of the diner. And in that moment, it was pretty clear to me that, they're going to change the name in Bobbie's honor. I know it. And at the end of part 2, we see Carly put up the new sign that Elizabeth had painted. And now it says Bobbie's. Personally, I think I would have rather it have been called Barbara Jean's, because that seems more like a diner name. But it is a tiny sign, so whatever. And it's still nice. I'm curious about how you guys feel about the name change of Kelly's to Bobbie's, just in a general sense. Even if you wanted it named Spencer's or Barbara Jean's, how do you feel about them just changing the name, period? Because it's definitely causing mixed reactions among the message boards and social media. And even I was initially unsure of how I felt about it. But the way that I see it now, Kelly's has been in the Spencer family for 30 plus years, around that, I think. So they've kind of earned the right to do what they want with the name. From if I was a resident in Port Charles, and this, from that point of view, as the point of view of seeing GH as the TV show that it is, with a lot of history and traditions and staples, this is how I feel. I feel like the Kelly family, who owned Kelly's, was only really on GH for a couple of years. And Jackie Zeman's time on the show and the character of Bobbie predate even the existence of Kelly's Diner in the first place. And the Kelly family, as well. So I still see this as a really great way to honor GH's history, despite changing the name of Kelly's, because the building is still there, okay? And it's not going anywhere. And even with the slight renovations that have happened over the years, including the most recent one, it still pretty much looks identical to what it looked like when we first saw the set in the 80s. So I don't see it as a big deal personally. I think that it's a great way to honor Jackie and Bobbie. Like, what better way? You know, I know people argue like, well, Bobbie wasn't really around Kelly's that much, but I'm like, it's not about that though. Like, I see it as pretty black and white. Like, Bobbie gifted Carly Kelly's, right? And that was like one of the last scenes Jackie had, was actually giving Kelly to Carly. So for me, it, like, of course Carly's going to honor Bobbie. She owns it. That's her mother that gave it to her as a gift. Yeah, makes sense. It would be more weird for me if Carly didn't do that with Kelly's. So it's not really bothering me. And you guys know I love the history of GH. And even though, you know, I wasn't born in the 80s. I have no connection to Kelly's, but I've seen, like, Kelly's the family, sorry. But I've seen their characters in various scenes over the years that I've watched on YouTube myself. And, you know, I liked the characters from what little I did see of them here and there. But they really were only on for, like, a couple of years. So, like, it's not that big of a deal to me. Okay, what do y'all think, though? Let me read the chat. Let me scroll up and see what I've missed here. Love Carly and Sonny's scenes. I wish Eda McCoy would have been there. Yeah, but you know what happened. Her mom died in real life, so you can't fault her, right? In Parallel Universe, Maxie. Yeah, Maxie did play BJ in that What If BJ Never Died episode. With that horrible red wig. I mean, the Kelly family were not really characters on the show, and since 83, right? Yeah, it's been like a long ass time. So it doesn't bother me none. Sandy said it was a nice way to honor Bobbie. DG said, I will miss the Kelly name legacy, but dedicated it to Bobbie is an okay idea. I can roll with that, but someday I would like for Rose Kelly to return and to see her on the set again. Yeah, like, I think the character was very endearing to me. I really liked her. She kind of, you know, look-wise, she kind of reminded me of Nadine, like Nicholas's ex, a little bit. But yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing her. And actually, one thing that I think would be, like, a good way to maybe still honor Kelly's, even though it's called Bobbie's, is kind of do what GH did on their wall and had, like, the, you know, past doctors and nurses and people on the hospital board on the wall. They could do that with Kelly's with past owners, even if they haven't passed away. You know what I mean? Like, show, like, the Kelly family that owned it, and show a picture of Ruby, and show a picture of Luke and Mike and Bobbie and the people that have managed it, and maybe beloved workers there like Georgie. Like, have a wall for them. You know what I mean? But that's just my thought on that. That's just my 2 cents. Why was it called Kelly's in the beginning? Because a family whose last name was Kelly's owned it, and they just passed it on to Ruby Anderson, who was Bobbie's aunt, or they sold it to her, or she bought it. It will always be Kelly's. Yeah, it's not going to change just because the name changed. It's still the same restaurant. Get it, Jackie died. They want to honor her, but that's messing with my nostalgia. DG said, oh, okay, you're just explaining it to Marsha. Miki said, I never saw that coming. Changing the diner's name, it will grow on me. I just wanted it to be called Barbara Jean's Diner. You know, funny enough, we have a pub named Kelly's here in Edmonton. And anytime I see it, I'm like, oh, I wish I lived closer to it. And that would just be like my like go-to place in the afternoon. It is more of a pub, but they do have like sandwiches and stuff too. So like, makes me think of Kelly's. They were all fairly important characters in the early 80s. Yeah, but for like 2 years, you know what I mean? Like 4 years tops. Whereas Bobbie's been on for 40, so I feel like it's fair at this point. And I also think, like, realistically, like, you know, there's people in the chat, like, who, like, why was it called Kellys? Some people don't even know who the Kellys are because they're that, like, not to be mean, but they're pretty insignificant now. And I feel like the people that are, like, the most mad about it are probably people that haven't given the Kelly family a second thought in 35 years. You know what I mean? Like, that's how I see it. Like, I feel like the people that are just that blowing up about it, like, y'all didn't care about the Kellys. Why haven't you? I've never seen you guys, oh, I wish these characters would return ever, until now that the Kellys, whatever restaurant name has been changed. Like, that's, sorry, I touched the mic there. But that's how I just, like, laugh about it a little bit. Still refer to the floating rib as Jake's. Yeah, but it's not even there anymore. Floating rib, like, collapsed in the earthquake, and then they rebuilt it, and then it blew up from freaking Julie and Jerome and Cyrus. It ain't even standing no more. It's not there. Let's see. Do you have any idea what the storyline of how Jackie got on? I actually don't. No, that's one of the scenes. Maybe I should look back and find a description of Bobbie's origins. I obviously knew that she came on to become a nurse, but I don't know what surrounded that. All right, y'all. But yeah, so overall, I think the tribute to Bobbie was really well done. I think that, you know, they had very beautiful moments, and you know, we also seen a montage of Bobbie as Carly was putting the signs up of, like, some of her pivotal moments over the years. Wait a minute, did Cyrus blow up the original floating rib? No, he blew up the new one. When the bar Jakes changed their name to the floating rib, he then blew that bar up. I don't actually know what happened to the original floating rib. To be fair, I think it was a silly reason, Angel, to change the name of Jake's to the floating rib. Just because Luke was uncomfortable seeing Jake's name, given that he, you know, he thought he nearly killed the kid. DG, you said Bobbie was introduced as a new student nurse after Jackie Zeman was killed off One Life to Live. She acted nice, but she immediately became Laura's rival. Doug Marlin was writing the show back then. Okay. It's all about young love rivalry stories. Makes sense. Hey, Nikisha. Yeah, sorry, yeah, we're back. We're an hour earlier now. Oh, man. Jake's got blown up. Not the floating rib. No, it was already called the floating rib, though, when it was Jake's. Because first Jake's, actually, I think Jake's was already the floating rib when the earthquake happened, and then and then after that they rebuilt it and it blew up. I was like, damn, that place is cursed. So the original floating rib should still be open. I don't think so, though, because the reason why they were able to change it to the floating rib is because they said that it wasn't around anymore, and they wanted to pay homage to a place that was near and dear to Port Charles back in the day. So that's why Jake's got renamed to the floating rib. Know what happened to Pop Slender's drugstore? I don't even know. Dive bar, the bucket of blood. See, that one I kind of vaguely remember. Oh, not from, like, my viewership. Obviously, I wasn't born, you know, at that point. But I think, if it's the one I'm thinking of. But I recall seeing some scenes of what I think was called the bucket of blood. Oh my goodness. Alright. But yeah, anyway, final thoughts about Bobbie's funeral, then we'll get into the rest. So, I really loved the tribute. I thought it was really well done. The only thing that was a little bit jarring for me, which really was only in the second episode, was the time jumping, because it was all over the place. Like, Felicia and Carly, they flew to Amsterdam, but they were suddenly in Ontario, and I would imagine it would take more than a day to get there, you know what I mean? And then, but at the same time, Maxie in one day is still interviewing, or having Ghost BJ interview these people. And it was happening continuously, even though we were seeing Carly and Felicia going from Amsterdam to Ontario in 2 minutes. That was my only qualm about it. That's my only critique. Everything else was pretty good. Alright, now on to the rest of the stories that occurred on GH this week, y'all. One thing that happened before Bobbie's tribute was that Felicia had gotten Cody's DNA test results back, and much like I predicted, they showed that Mac was not the father. Not only did I see this coming because John York, Mac, isn't around to be a part of the story, but we also saw that Sasha had noticed Felicia taking a sample of his hair and giving it to someone to take back to GH. So I knew that if Sasha knows, then she's going to do something. And long story short, Sasha managed to switch Cody's hair sample given to GH's lab with her own, which means the DNA would not be a match for Mac. Although it would have been hilarious if it still did, and Mac would end up being her father too, and that would put a damper in Cody and Sasha's romance a little bit. So, oh man. Oh, thanks, Andy. Okay, that's what I thought. DG. Nikisha, you cried so much during the funeral. I wanted more of Lucas Hill. I agree. Flea and Carly went around the freaking world in one day. Yeah, I tried to in my head explain it as like, I was like, surely another day has passed over in that segment of the story, but we're just not. It's not connecting because they only have one episode to do it in. All right. Let's see. All right. Another thing that happened, Alexis and Gregory, they talked about the aftermath of their skydive. Turns out Alexis loved it so much she wanted to take classes on her own so she could dive on her own without someone strapped to, or being strapped to someone. And wanted Gregory to do it too, but he was content with just having done it the one time. He crossed it off his bucket list. He's still got other things he wants to do. But in regards to the other thing that happened, the kiss, Gregory was kind of feeling bad about it and even thinks Alexis was just trying to like take a bit of pity on him. But she points out that she did kiss him back, and she wanted to, and she enjoyed it. However, given that Gregory is on his last leg of life, he would rather her be his best friend and constant. And yeah, I'm kind of inclined to agree with that notion. For me, it's too little too late to have a romance with these two because it will feel too, like, quick. Like, they shouldn't, like, obviously, it feels like they were probably playing with the idea of putting them together back when they started having those two characters interact, but they never went for it, and now it's too little too late, and it'll feel like it's just a quick throw-in to make when he does inevitably die a bit more tragic with, a tragic romance, you know what I mean? So to that, I just, I don't want that. Alexis has also already had a partner that died. Okay, we don't need, well, probably several at this point, but we don't need more for poor Alexis. Ah, Lordy. Oh, you were watching the original Floating Rib? When it was introduced in the 80s, the characters would always joke that it was a weird name. Alexis doesn't need to be with another almost dead guy. Exactly. Alright, let's quickly talk about the Ashfords. Curtis, he also had his surgery after going back and forth with Portia over whether he should do it or not. Also, Marshall kind of freaked out at Stella for not being optimistic, which was very odd, and it led to an apology, and somehow a segue of finally having a conversation about their kiss, which Stella pretty much just shut down and like, you know, let's not go there. And then anyway, once Curtis comes to post-surgery, he finds out Trina will be studying abroad in Paris for the spring semester, and, you know, he wishes her well, though Curtis and Portia, they're not thrilled about Spencer going there with her, and living together over there. Although, that may not actually happen, given what's been happening with the Cassadines this week, and we're going to talk about that next as well. DG said, my plan was for Greg to get with Tracy, but have an off-camera past business tie and grudge against Edward. That would have been a good plot twist. Never gonna put Tracy with Gregory. Portia's evil. Marsha, I used to love the Brady Bunch. This walk to remember senior citizens edition, Gregory and Alexis. Like, to me, like, okay, I know, like, walk to remember it's a romance. I think it's actually more endearing for Alexis and Gregory to just be friends, and she's just trying to cross her dear friend's bucket list off for him. Like, that seems more, you know, like, sweet to watch than, like, having it form into a romance. Alright, but let's move on from that. Let's talk about the Cassadines. So, before Bobbie's memorial, Laura had convinced Esme to turn herself in to the PCPD because it was the right thing to do. And let's be real, in order for Esme to keep up this charade that she doesn't have her memories back, she knows that she has to do it because it would look suspicious if she didn't. And likely she thought the same thing as Laura. It would be a slap on the wrist and some community service at most. What Laura and Esme didn't count on is Ava pressing charges instead of giving her the benefit of doubt when Esme shared her story. Ava feels it's justified because of what Esme did to Jocelyn, Trina, and Cam, especially Trina, obviously, which she isn't paying for because without her memories, those charges likely wouldn't stick anyway. She says it's not what she deserves, but it's a start. And when Laura asks her why, she said, you know, a leopard, she said something to the effect of, a leopard doesn't change its spots, and neither does that Esme, or something like that, she said. And Ava just kind of walked away, you know, like that. Now, cut to a few days later, and it's the day of her hearing. Spencer pays Esme a visit at the PCPD before the hearing, and it takes just one conversation between Spencer and Esme for Spencer to figure out that she's got her memories back. I called that shit. DG, I know that you're like, no. Yes, I called that shit. She cannot put, like, her personality on hold, and she doesn't have a good poker face. She's Heather's daughter. Heather did not have a good poker face either. And that's not to say that I don't adore Avery Pull, and I think that she will still stay around. But in my head, there is no way that she's going to stay around with all these people oblivious to her memories being back. And the thing that was her tell was that she called him Spence, which she has not once called him the entire time that she's lost her memories. She's called him Spencer this entire time. She called him Spence in that conversation, and she leaves the room, and Spencer, just the smile on his face when he realized, I was like, damn. He done figured it out. My mom was in the room when I was watching that episode too, and I was like, there it is. She even called him Spence. Marsha, you love that she pressed charges against Esme. Seeing Esme in handcuffs made confetti fall from my ceiling. Hey, Jakarius. Good to see you in the chat. Sorry, I'll scroll up a little bit. I'm missing stuff, obviously. I've been good. Thanks for asking. Laura's making me sick. Yeah, Laura be dumb, but hopefully, I don't know. I don't know what Spencer is going to do from here. I'm interested to see how he's going to play this because, you know, one way or another, he ain't going to let Ace anywhere near Esme now that he knows that she's got her memories back. So that's why I don't think he's going to go to Paris. I don't know if Trina still will. I doubt she will. And if she doesn't, then I think Curtis and Portia are going to be pissed that, once again, Trina's putting her life on hold for Spencer. So it's either going to play out that way, but it could easily play out the other way, as maybe Spencer and Trina will go with Ace to Paris. Although at the end of Friday's episode, Spencer got a surprise visit from Nicholas. He revealed himself to Spencer at the end of Friday's episode after Nicholas had some scenes with Ava. Ava had informed him of the charges against Esme and that she's pressing the charges and she's likely going to do a little bit of jail time for it. Nicholas had said that he was going to leave town again because he's still wanted for what he did to Esme, but he stopped at Spencer's place first, or Laura's place, I should say. I'm interested to see what happens there. The fireworks are going to begin for sure, but this is now a dangerous road for both of them to go down. Laura's written like a naive goody two-shoes. Yeah, like, Laura's got two, like, obviously Laura has always had like a kind, forgiving heart, right? Like, it's in her character, but she was never stupid. So hopefully she at least starts to get a little bit suspicious. Because I think in the preview she gets asked by the court like what she's gonna plead. But we'll see. I hope that they can have Laura sort of realize that Esme's been playing her. But maybe Kevin will see it first. Who knows? Or maybe Spencer will be honest about it. Because now Spencer is obviously going to go headstrong and holding on to Ace again. And Laura's going to wonder why. So we'll see. We'll see how this plays out. I'm excited for this part of the story. To make me understand Laura's connection with Esme, they should show flashbacks of when Stavros held Laura captive. I think she identifies with Esme, but they aren't showing us that on screen. That's a good way to interpret it, and that would be a good way to explain Laura's naivety towards Esme. DG, you said Nicholas is going to be the wild card in the situation. He has other revenge in mind for Esme. I think it will be him who actually gets Esme out of jail. Should be interesting. You know, I thought initially that he was going to convince Ava to drop the charges, but Ava's ride or die for Trina, so I don't think she's going to do that, even though Nicholas has plans of his own. But yeah, maybe he'll use his connections. Why didn't Laura want Charlotte to turn herself in? No doubt. Well, I guess... I don't know. I think maybe because they were initially worried that she, would get in huge trouble for potentially burning down Anna's house, because initially they weren't sure. But yeah, that made me mad too. But I think she knows that. I mean, she kind of came in after Valentine had already done the work to get rid of the evidence against her. So I don't know. I guess there's a bit of a pass on that, but not a great one. What's up with Charlotte anyway? Where's she at these days? Not that I care, but where is she? Laura should have some street smarts, and that's the thing. They've shown her with street smarts, like up until now. What's going on? Who was supposed to be the mayor because Laura didn't win the election fairly? They need to run this town. Wasn't it supposed to be the evil woman? Or no, that was the original election, right? I can't remember. Laura being the mayor is laughable anyway, because she's out of town 6 months of the year. She's never in town to run the damn place. Alright, I guess there's only one real storyline to talk about now, and it's Sonny's plans for Cyrus. So let's get into it, because, we're an hour in. Okay, so last week, Sonny was arrested for beating Cyrus up at the church, but Dante still told him about Bobbie and how she passed away. So as soon as he made bail, he had checked in with Carly, and they had a good heart-to-heart about their situation, their situations, Bobbie dying and the stuff with Nina. And, shared their thoughts about Bobbie with each other, of course. They were really good scenes. I don't think that Sonny and Carly are going to get back together because of this. But I think it's fixed their relationship, so to speak, because things have obviously been very awkward with Nina. And now that Nina's kind of a non-factor, at least from Carly's point of view, they can sort of get back to like a good place mentally with each other. Although Ava had told Nina about what Sonny did to Cyrus, and she's seeing this as, he's mad at Cyrus and maybe I have a chance. I don't know. It's hard to tell what they're going to do with Sonny, but like his mental whatever. He hasn't been written properly since the Mike stuff, but sorry, the Mike persona when he had amnesia himself. But anyway, Sonny has decided to take his own matters into his own hands when it comes to Cyrus, and has asked Dex to murder Cyrus, basically, so that there's no trial to speak of that he'll have to deal with. No Cyrus found, there can't be a case. Dex is feeling a little bit wrecked about this emotionally, which baffles me, because who would have thought that working for a mobster would require you to kill another mobster at some point? Like, come on. I guess Dex would think that, I guess. Like, what did he think working with Sonny would eventually come to? He knows what Jason did for a living. And he even calls Jocelyn to basically, say goodbye, I think. He was, like, emotional and, like, I just wanted to hear your voice. Like, they're making it sound like he's gonna die. Maybe he will now that Jason's coming back. Who knows? Who's to say? Jocelyn didn't even answer the phone call, though, because she's a little bit busy trying to get Adam to go into counseling over his issues with his parents, which Adam did not take too kindly to. But now we know damn well that Dex is not going to kill Cyrus. So do we think this will be what leads to Sonny figuring out why Dex went into his organization in the first place? Because he's already a little bit suspicious of Dex's reluctancy to do it. Or maybe this is like the first part of the road back to Jason. Who knows? Just to point out, in regards to Jason, from what we know so far, Steve Burton has not got a start date yet to when he's going to shoot the show, meaning he hasn't shot the show yet. And so he doesn't know when he's going to start to shoot. And even when he does, it'll still be at least a month and a bit before he actually airs on the show. So we've got some time yet before Steve Burton comes back. Side note, Robert's excited at the prospect of Sonny going to prison over beating Cyrus up, And Diane's got a problem with that, and you know, he's going to be a little cold in the sheets for a little bit over his excitement towards it. But I can't blame the guy. Sonny is a mobster, and he wants to take him down, just like everyone else that's in law enforcement there. Except for lawyers, of course, that are, you know, that have Sonny as his client. Dex looks so scared. Yeah, he does. Okay, let me scroll up a bit and see what you guys are saying. Somehow Nick is going to use Ace as the pawn, especially since it's his child. Oh, okay. Dex is going to shoot himself in the foot, literally. He is the worst hitman ever. The way he lurks around in plain sight, no way he's going to get to kill Cyrus. I think Pikeman will step in. Dex always gets beat up or shot. Charlotte's still admiring her battle wound. Oh my gosh. DG said, I love Evan Hoffer, but the character is a bozo. And Evan just doesn't look like a hitman. So Laura was like a Carly, yet everyone hates on Carly. Dex looked so scared. Thing is, he doesn't realize Dex doesn't realize that Sonny's a manipulator. He manipulated Jason into killing people. People don't remember that in his old storylines. Yeah, Sonny was not a good person. Like, he's still not, but he's written as like a mobster with a heart of gold now. But he was a scumbag in the 90s. Dex did look scared. Yeah. I just want Sonny not with Nina. We can give Sonny another love interest. I'm good with Sonny just not having a love interest for a while. He doesn't need one. Let him figure his shit out with his own life, you know? And his kids. And all the baby mamas and the grandkids. Let him just do his thing with them for a while. And run his business, I guess. Frank looks like he's capable of getting the job done. Oh, like his bodyguard? Yeah, why not? Dex would audition for porn and get embarrassed when they ask him to take off his clothes. Oh my lord, DG. I mean, probably. Would I watch it though? You guys can ponder that while we end the live stream. But that's it, y'all. That's all the storylines that we have. I'll be live streaming again on Wednesday, and yes, it'll be an hour earlier, just like this one. So 8:30 p.m. Mountain Time, whatever that is to you guys. I have a few ideas of what we can do on Wednesday. It might not necessarily be reacting to a classic episode, more like just conversation about some other stuff. But I think I'll put up a poll on the community tab tomorrow, and you guys can take a vote as to what you want to see on Wednesday. Yeah, because I have a few ideas running around in my head. I'll pick like the 3 that I think would be the most enjoyable stream for Wednesday. Yeah, we'll get into that when I post a poll tomorrow. Sonny needs to wait to unalive Cyrus. All right, y'all. But yeah, thanks for tuning into the live stream. It was a very good week on General Hospital, and I hope that they can keep it up now that we're kind of back to the regular storylines. It's gonna be hard to go back into kind of the norm, because we've had such good material with Jackie's passing and Bobbie's funeral and Bobbie's memorial and honoring Bobbie and all these scenes that involves a lot of history. But I'm gonna hope that with the stuff with Nicholas and Spencer, things are gonna get interesting now. But yeah, thanks so much for tuning in, everyone. If you liked this live stream, give it a big old thumbs up. If you haven't done so already, subscribe to the channel. I'd really appreciate it. And I will catch you guys this Wednesday. Good night. Mwah.